it's not gray and rainy. So I'm very happy to be here for a busy summer. So my topic today is on fundraising and fundraising specifically for Mount Sequoia, and really focusing on what is unique, kind of finding what your story is at your own organization and focusing on your unique so that you can better tell your story. Just a little bit about me. Let's see. I am born and raised in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I do not have any experience in hospitality other than restaurant experience. I spent about 10 years as a server and manager at a local restaurant here in town. But I just have a philanthropic heart. I was raised with my parents saying, you've got to volunteer. So I've spent a lot of time volunteering at the Fayetteville Public Library. My parents were always on boards. Prior to my time at Mount Sequoia, I did spend some time at a nonprofit, the public radio station here in town. And then I was an associate director of development at a regional campus for our state's medical school. Like I said, I've been here since December. I have my undergraduate degree from the University of Arkansas. It is in international business. And I am currently pursuing my master's in strategic communication. I should have that in August. And just so you know, I am a working mom. That is my little boy Dexter in his Batman garb. Also, we're having another baby in July. So when Jess asked me if I would do this presentation and specifically on fundraising for a conference center, I kind of was like, what? I've only been here 3 months. I don't feel like I'm a fundraising expert. I certainly don't feel like I am a fundraising expert for Mount Sequoia because I really haven't raised any money. I've only been here 3 months. And ultimately, I thought, I'm not raising money for a conference center. I'm raising money for Mount Sequoia. It's not just a conference center. It's so much more than just a conference center. And so I guess that's what I urge you to look at when you're thinking about fundraising for your organization is, what makes it unique. And I don't know how much you know about Mount Sequoia. I know that Charles Wallace, well, he knows a lot about Mount Sequoia, but the others, I'm not sure. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what makes Mount Sequoia so unique. We are located on 32 acres, wooded acres, right in the center of downtown Fayetteville. Fayetteville is a population of about 75,000. We're also surrounded by residential properties. So there we have 35 neighbors or so that are just along our perimeter. As you probably do know, we were founded by the South Central jurisdiction of the United Methodist Church. That was back in 1922. Probably also know that we separated from the church 2 years ago. So we have limitless opportunities when it comes to what we want to do, what we can do. And our donor base is from all over. We have local people, regional people, and national people who contribute to Mount Sequoia. So what makes Northwest Arkansas unique? There's a lot of things that make Northwest Arkansas unique, and it also makes it a challenge to fundraise in Northwest Arkansas. We are the home of the University of Arkansas, the flagship campus. We are also home to Walmart, J.B. Hunt, and Tyson. So 3 of some of the biggest companies in the world call this place home. And because of that, we have representatives from other large corporations such as Coca-Cola or General Mills, Unilever. They are all located here as well. Not their headquarters, but they have offices and representation here. Northwest Arkansas is growing really, really fast. And we get 28 new residents every day, and that's been happening since 2010. The region has more than 500,000 people. We're also very philanthropic because our per capita income is 14% above the national average, but we also give a lot. So Northwest Arkansas residents give 5.2% of their annual income to charitable causes. And that is above the national average, which is just above 2%, so about 2.2%. Recreation-wise, Mount Sequoia is in a good spot because there are 200 miles of trails that have been added in just the last 7 years or so. We're also a food culture with James Beard Award nominated chefs, lots of new restaurants and things happening here. But again, that competition is stiff because there are hundreds of nonprofit organizations and charitable foundations in the area. So I urge you to think about what your story is. What are, the three things that make your organization unique, and what are the things that make your region unique? And how will you tell it? One of the things that I've learned just in my short time here at Mount Sequoia, that how you tell your story is very important. And just telling your story. Are you telling your story? Because if you're not, then people don't know that you're there or why they should give. So I have really learned that communication is key. When I first started, I met with a lot of people in the community, just community leaders as well as major donors to Mount Sequoia. And one of the things that I learned was that people still, even after being here for 100 years, didn't know what Mount Sequoia really was. They didn't understand our separation from the church. They didn't understand why we were a nonprofit. And this is even people who had been giving to Mount Sequoia. So one of the things that I started, we've had 3 editions now, is the Mountain Monthly. So it's a bi-monthly newsletter that really just tells what's going on at Mount Sequoia. You can see this copy here. It has a donor spotlight. So one of the things that I really want to do is to show people who is giving to Mount Sequoia. Not only that, but it also honors the people who are giving. Of course, I don't do that without the permission of the donor. They don't want to open up an email and see their picture without expecting it. I know I certainly don't want to do that, but the newsletter really just shows people that they are important, that we care, that they really are part of the story. Not only is it Mount Sequoia's story, but it is also their story. My goal is to really touch our donors once a month. That way they know that we're here, they know what we're doing, and it doesn't have to be the newsletter. It doesn't have to be an ask. One of the things that I would like to do next month, and this is something that you guys could do too, because it's the nature of the business, we're busy in the summer, but is a happy first day of summer card. It's June 21st, I believe, is the summer equinox. So I just plan to send out just a postcard that says, happy summer. We're gearing up for fun things here on the mountain, and we hope that you're a part of them, or that you're having fun in whatever it is that you're doing. Since I started, well, actually this is prior to my time, but since we really started talking to our donor base and the community, we have had 77 new donors in the last, year and 4 months or so. And we have 102 re-engaged donors. So that's people who haven't given, they certainly didn't give in 2016. They may not have given in years. I sent out a March appeal, and it wasn't super successful in terms of dollar amounts or donors. We had 33 total donors. But what I was most impressed with were who the donors were. 6 of those 33 hadn't given in 2 to 5 years. Another 6 hadn't given in 5 years, and 2 hadn't given in more than 7 years. So what that tells me is that, well, 1, maybe they just hadn't been asked, but 2, they've received a couple of newsletters. They know what we're doing. They know that we care, and they were interested in supporting us once again. So once those people who hadn't given in years and years and years, so how do we keep them giving? There was a recent donor survey by the Nonprofit Research Institute that showed that donors have 7 expectations after a gift. So some of those things are they want to know, they want communication that the gift was effective. Obviously, I mean, that's more than just a thank you note. It is, you helped us do this. Perhaps that can be in the way of a newsletter. You contributed to our summer camp scholarship fund, and here are the kids who were able to attend. Personalized communication, so a handwritten note, not just a generic email from Salesforce or Network for Good. You cannot say thank you enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Invite the donor for feedback. I think that donors love to know that their opinion matters. You don't always have to do what they say, but just inviting them for feedback on how was the donation process? Were you pleased with the way that we approached you, with the way that the dollars were used? What do you think was the best thing about this summer camp program? Donors also want to feel involvement in the cause. They want to feel appreciated, and that the communication demonstrates how the gift was used. One of my other goals here at Mount Sequoia, and it hasn't quite happened yet, but we're getting there, is to build a culture of philanthropy. The main thing, well, not the main thing, everything is important here, but one of those things is to get your board on board. Boards that are strictly just operating in nature are not necessarily highly functioning. Your board needs to share in the vision, in your vision, in the philanthropic vision. It needs to be more about just making the financial decisions. They need to give to your organization. Donors are much more likely to give if they know that the board is behind your organization as well. If the board is investing their dollars, they're more invested in your organization too, beyond just those dollars. The board also needs to be making introductions for you. They need to be introducing you to potential donors, to community members, to people who can really forward your cause. And some more data from the Nonprofit Research Institute, 55% of organizations that engage their boards see increases in results compared to just 40% that do not. So if you engage your board, you're going to raise more money. Let's see. Oh, I skipped some of your other things. Sorry. Culture of philanthropy. Thank you. Bear with me. It's also about training your staff to understand that you are a nonprofit and that people that they touch are potential donors. One of the things that I would really like to work with all the people who answer the phone, if somebody, or if we get a really great review from a customer, from somebody who had a wedding here, or somebody who participated in a retreat here, get their name and get their number and tell me about it so that I can contact them. Because they're a potential donor. So it really is, and not only is it customer service, it goes beyond customer service. Form a fundraising committee. That's another way to build a culture of philanthropy in your organization. If it's just you, if you don't even have a development director, then all the more reason for having a fundraising committee. But I know we're all small shops, so if you have a development director, they still need help. They can't do everything on their own. And communicate to your guests that you are a nonprofit. One of the small, simple things is just putting that newsletter in all of the guest rooms, putting a pledge card in all of the guest rooms so that while they're sitting there going through all the stuff, what did you leave for me? They know that you are a nonprofit and that you're not just another place to stay. You're different than the Holiday Inn, obviously. And this just kind of ties into that, building a culture of philanthropy. Who are your prospects and donors? Our prospects and donors are, those people that you can see standing by the bus. They're people who have spent time here over the years. I mean, maybe they were here 60 years ago, but they had a great experience and they want to give back to Mount Sequoia. You see the kids, their parents are prospects and donors. And those kids, they might be prospects and donors in, another 20 years or so. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had the Fayetteville Yoga Festival. It was great. The whole campus was covered with yoga mats, and it's my thing, so I enjoyed it. But anybody who attended that, they're a prospect. They're a potential donor. And this other picture that you see here, that is our friends group. It is the Friends of Mount Sequoia, people who support us, but they're prospects too. So really, your prospects and donors are anybody who have ever set a toe on your property. There are also people in your surrounding area, people who don't necessarily spend time there, but they love what you're doing and they don't want it to go away. And in our case, our neighbors are also our prospects and donors. I feel like I talked really fast, but thank you.
Okay, thanks, Christina. I'm going to unmute everybody because we've got some minutes here now. If anybody has any questions, so wait till I find the button to unmute everybody. And now anybody who speaks can be heard. Any questions?
Christina, this is Carla at Dayspring. When you take donations, is it always by cash or check, or have you done anything online with bank electronic transfer?
I'm sorry, I'm hearing a echo.
Pardon?
Carla, your voice was really echoey. Can you try again?
Okay. What I was saying, do you allow donations by electronic bank transfers, or is it just cash or check?
We do take donations by like debit card, but at this point in time, we don't just transfer from. We don't like a monthly donation. We don't have like a sustaining member program. That is definitely something that we'd be open to. We do regular recurring donations, but they're on a credit card.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, Christina, thank you very, very much. Since we have a few minutes, Dr. Walter is hoping to have a minute to talk to folks. If you can hang around for a few minutes. Charles, I'm going to actually mute everybody, so hopefully it'll be clear, and then I'll unmute you, Charles.
Hello, everybody. I just want to remind you that next week we begin the first of the classes in our new education program. We're beginning with the course on finance and funding. The instructors are two of our long-term and very experienced instructors, Wynn Wyman and Rex Miller. We have all new curriculum for that course. And even if you're an old hand at finance and conference center administration, I think you might find the course interesting. We try to limit the size to 12. At this point, we have, I believe, 9 students. So we could take 3 more, and we'd love to have any of you join us. It's at 3 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday of next week. You can register on the web page, and it'll give you a chance to see what we're doing with the new education course. Hope to see some of you.
All right. For some reason, the sound is really acting up, so I think we're just going to bring this to a close this month. If you coffee break during the summer, you can always go to the website and check in for recordings from past coffee breaks. Otherwise, we'll see you again in August. Thanks so much, everybody.